In recent years, we've been flooded with creature movies like A Quiet Place 1 and 2, Bird Box, It Follows, and many more. These movies became huge box office and critical successes for their portrayal of human stories in a challenging society, and how those characters fight for their survival in those amazingly written movies. Arcadian is another movie in the same genre that has been getting some great reviews in the last few weeks. So let's find out in this video what the story of this movie is, and why you should watch it in the theaters. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Life after the blip. The movie starts with a man named Paul, played by Nicolas Cage, running through the narrow streets of a city trying to survive an ongoing war. The war is happening against the alien creatures who have invaded Earth and have been creating mass destruction by killing the human species. Paul successfully manages to escape the city and reaches a secluded farm, where he has been living with his infant sons, Thomas and Joseph. Being a single father of 2 young children, he raises them alone, all by himself with love and care. 15 years later. 15 years have already passed, and Paul has somehow managed to survive, himself and his 2 sons, from the alien creatures. They live on that farm, forging and creating metal weapons to survive from the creatures. The alien creatures can only come out in the dark and create destruction by killing humans, but during the day, they remain hidden in the dark. Paul is a very tough and strict father, but he does everything to teach his sons the survival tactics in an apocalyptic world. One day, while Thomas is away from home helping one of their neighbors, Mr. Rose, he comes home late, but later reaches just before dusk. Paul strictly tells him that if he ever comes home late again, he won't allow him to get too far from the house because he should be careful and needs to understand the dangers out there after sunset. The same night, while they're trying to relax after dinner, Thomas heard some noise on the door. It was one of the aliens trying to break into the house, but Thomas and Paul held onto the door and successfully managed to run off the alien. The next day, Paul learns that Joseph has been working on a vehicle, so he helps him get it started and gives a driving lesson to both Joseph and Thomas. Joseph drops Thomas off at Mr. Rose's house and goes to collect from the ruined city nearby. While leaving, Thomas tells Joseph that he will wait for him at the gate before sunset. At Mr. Rose's house, Thomas meets Mr. Rose's daughter, Charlotte, whom he has a huge crush on. They spend their usual time together by playing silly games. In the abandoned city, while Thomas is trying to collect some items from a house, he gets attacked by cockroaches. Though he gets out of that situation, he's unable to start his vehicle. Back at Mr. Rose's farm, seeing it's getting late, Joseph hugs Charlotte and leaves for home. Monster attacks on the family. After many unsuccessful attempts, Joseph starts the vehicle and leaves for home. Back in the forest, while Joseph is trying to reach the pickup point, he stumbles upon a twig and falls into a cave. Unable to find Joseph, Thomas leaves for home, thinking he might have already done the same. When he reaches home, a worried Paul tells them that Thomas is still not back. Paul instructs Joseph to take care of the house and make it secure from the creatures, and goes out into the jungle in search of Thomas. In a cave, an unconscious Joseph wakes up from sleep and finds himself in the cave's darkness. Scared by the situation, he lights a fire using a lighter, but gets attacked by a creature instead. Paul hears his scream, reaches the cave, and kills the creature using his knife, saving his son. Back at home, Joseph secures the house by following his dad's instructions, and then falls asleep waiting for their arrival. While he was sleeping on the couch, a monster approached a small window from outside and used his long, pointy fingers to open it from the inside. But when the creature tries to break into the house, it gets trapped in a cage that he had set up at the door. In the cave, while Paul is trying to save Thomas, the cave starts to collapse, and both of them get trapped inside. After waiting for the whole night, when Joseph could not find his dad or brother at home, he drives through the forest to find them. After looking through the different parts, he finds Thomas with his severely injured dad. They bring him back to their house and take care of him. When Thomas finds out about the creature trapped in the cage, he tells Joseph about his adventures last night, where he and his father killed a bunch of them. An argument breaks out between Thomas and Joseph about killing the creature, and the creature suddenly gets released from the cage and hides under the bed. When it tries to attack Thomas, Joseph kills the creature by putting a spear into its brain. To save their dad, both brothers drive all the way to Mr. Rose's house to seek help, but he denies providing them with any. They agree to let Thomas go because of his relationship with Charlotte, but refuse to give shelter to Joseph and Paul. Disheartened by this, Thomas gets worried that his dad is going to die without any access to medicine and care, and he calls Joseph an irresponsible guy because their dad is on the verge of death. Joseph gets really angry and they start fighting with each other. After the fight, Joseph leaves to go back to their house, but Thomas stays at the Roses. While serving him lunch, Charlotte and Thomas get romantic and kiss each other, but they're caught by her dad, Mr. Rose. Mr. Rose, furious with Thomas' affair with his daughter, asks Thomas to leave his house. Joseph's brilliant plan. Joseph drives home and starts working on ideas to trap the creatures. Thomas tries to steal the meds before leaving for home but gets caught by Charlotte. When Thomas pleads with her to give him some meds, she gives it to him and gives him a goodbye kiss. On his way out, Thomas gets caught by one of Charlotte's uncles, who, along with a few other men, tries to kill Thomas for stealing. But the moment he was about to fire the bullet, the alien creatures started attacking them. The creatures also kill Charlotte's parents, destroying their safe haven. Tied up in the stable, Thomas tries his best to escape, but a monster appears in front of him. At that moment, Charlotte kills it with a gunshot. Back at their house, Joseph hears a knock at the doorstep, but it turns out that Thomas and Charlotte fled Charlotte's farm and arrived there for their own safety. Thomas and Joseph bury their rivalry and start working together to kill those monstrous creatures. Joseph starts setting up makeshift bombs to blow up the monsters by tricking them. The final showdown. While Joseph, Thomas, and Charlotte are trying to kill the monsters, Paul jumps into the fight and puts them in a safe place by locking the door to sacrifice himself and save his kids. Joseph tries his best to stop his dad from sacrificing himself, but Thomas asks him to get to the bunker. The bomb works and the entire house gets destroyed. After the blast, the trio gets out of the bunker and starts leaving the place. Even though they're sad about their dad's demise, they now need to find a new purpose, a new home, and new ways to survive in the world full of monstrous creatures. They're determined to survive through this journey as brothers. How powerful is this creature? The creature came to Earth from an unknown planet to invade. These creatures have long, skinny bodies with 2 pairs of skinny legs. They're very intelligent and adaptable in nature. In the beginning of the movie, these creatures don't attack inside safe space, but later they start attacking through underground tunnels by adapting their skills. But most of these creatures are scared of sunlight and tend to come out only after sunset to kill humans. They're very scary and powerful creatures with the ability to kill humans and any animals using their pointy hands. They also try to scare their prey by screaming from the top of their lungs before killing. They can also be killed using fire, energy blasts, by guns, and sharp knives. But their ability to learn new defensive skills can cause some problems in the future. Future possibilities. The movie ends with an open ending, suggesting a possible series in the future. The 3 survivors, Thomas, Joseph, and Charlotte, can fight with more creatures on their new adventure after losing their respective homes to the alien invasion. There's also a possible budding love story between Thomas and Charlotte that can bring more emotional angles to the film. The movie doesn't really reveal anything about the origin of the creatures or how it all started, so if the makers wanted to, they could come up with a prequel to showcase the story. Marvelous verdict. Like every other apocalyptic movie, this movie has some scary alien creatures trying to invade the Earth. From CGI creatures to scary moments and heartwarming sweet moments between the characters, Arcadian has everything that makes it a solid horror movie as a whole. But what makes it a nice cinematic experience is its emotional core. Every actor in this movie shines through with the nuances of their acting chops. Legendary Nicolas Cage, in an extended cameo, is as amazing as ever, but the screen stealers are the 2 young actors playing his sons, Thomas and Joseph. Thomas is a very outgoing and adventure-seeking guy, but in contrast, Joseph is a very shy and smart guy. After their dad's health issues, they manage to let go of their childish fights and work together as brothers, side by side, to kill those creatures. This movie showcases the family dynamic and the power of relationships on the backdrop of an apocalyptic world, and how blood is always thicker than water. If you value the family dynamics, values, and love jump scares, you should definitely check out this film in the theater. So that's it for today in our movie explanation. We'll be back with more content on our channel. Please let us know if you like our videos in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe!